My name is Arthur, and I've always been the black sheep to the golden child, known as my brother, Bruce. My parents loved him because he was athletic, had perfect grades, and was better looking despite us being identical. Nothing he did was ever wrong, not even when it was criminal. You might think my brother didn't do anything wrong to deserve my hate, but after my story, I'm sure you'll agree that he and my parents were bad. My name is Arthur, and this is about how I got revenge on my golden brother Bruce and my parents. When we were born, Bruce and I were only a few minutes apart. Our parents loved us the same, at least the rest of my family used to say. It wasn't until we turned 5 and Bruce started playing sports that my parents would forget I even existed. Sometimes they would even leave me home alone without any food, so I'd have to wait for them to come back, and they'd give me the scraps, or tell me to do chores.
Oh, you're here. Make yourself useful and get your brother some water.
Mom, I'm hungry. I haven't ate. Did you not hear your mother? Go get your brother water. But my brother was never really satisfied. I could come back with water and he'd spit it in my face that it's not cold enough. If I bring him the coldest water known to man, he'd throw it at me. This is too cold. Do you want me to get a brain freeze? Can't you do something right?
If you don't bring something for your brother, you can forget about eating.
I felt like I was losing my mind. I didn't know what to do or how to please them. Even when we went to family events, my extended family could see the way my parents and brother treated me. My Aunt Jasmine always tried to help me escape them. She'd ask if I could sleep over a lot of the times to help me get away from them. But it never really lasted long. My parents would demand I come back. I guess they liked having a private butler they could boss around and not have to pay.
Oh, Gracie, you don't mind if Arthur spends a few nights with me, do you? Why would I care what that urchin does? As long as he stays out of our way, keep him for as long as you want.
Are you serious? You'll let me stay, Auntie Jasmine?
Of course. Every kid deserves to know that they're loved, and I can see your parents aren't very good at that.
Whenever I spent time with my aunt, we'd play board games and video games. We'd watch movies at theaters that I've wanted to watch for months. She'd buy me new clothes, and she'd get me toys. I would have to keep those toys at her home just so my family didn't grab it. She'd make me home-cooked meals, and we'd bake sweets together. The happiest years of my life were always with her. Even when my parents came pounding at her door, even when they said I could stay with her.
Give me back my son. You said he can stay until he was ready to go. No, I said, as long as you want, but it's been 4 days. He has to come home. Gracie, he's fine to stay another night. He doesn't need to stay another night. He needs to come home.
My mother would drag me out by my ear. It didn't matter how much I cried or kicked or begged, she wouldn't let me stay with my Aunt Jasmine. No, my brother needed a punching bag, because every time I came back home, he was doing just that, beating me. I never understood why, but looking back now, I think he was jealous. Our parents may have doted and loved him, but our extended family adored me. Many of them wanting me to stay with them, trying to help me escape my family. But my brother couldn't have that, and if he couldn't have it, neither could my parents.
I don't know what's wrong with your family. How could they not love our baby Bruce?
They're a bunch of crazy people. I don't see why we need to talk to them.
We still need your dad's money. We don't have enough with your paycheck.
Don't remind me. We need to make sure we stay on the will too. I don't want to lose that much money from my father. So we have to keep seeing them. Until he's dead at least. Don't talk about Grandpa like that. I don't want Grandpa dead. I want Grandpa dead. I want his money. I want to buy cars and a bigger house. And a PS5. Grandpa isn't money. He's our grandpa.
Shut up. You have no idea how much money it costs to have you, Arthur.
What? We can't waste another dime on him. He can have scraps and Bruce's hand-me-downs. But we're the same age. That was the first time my mother hit me. I still remember the ringing in my ears and how hot my tears felt on my cheeks. I was only 7 at the time. I didn't know what I said wrong. Bruce and I grew at the same rate. His hand-me-downs weren't going to fit me. I would be wearing clothes that didn't fit, but they didn't care. The older we grew, the more impressive my brother became in their eyes. He was good-looking, got straight A's, became class president, and became a star football player. To everyone at our school, he was the kindest guy. But the black and blue bruises said otherwise.
Arthur, what happened? Are you okay? Why do you have so many bruises on you?
I fell?
Arthur, it's me. What happened?
My brother beats me when he's frustrated. My parents started doing it too because Grandpa is still alive. They want his money, and they're scared he's not going to give them any money.
Why beat you for it?
They said it's my fault, that if I were never born then they'd get the money for sure. Or Bruce would, since we're his only grandkids.
We have to go to the police.
No, please, Aunt Jasmine. I don't want to lose you.
Fine. Well, you're 16 now. You have 2 more years until you can leave.
I don't know if I can wait that long. I don't want to go home.
Then stay here. I'll try to figure something out for you.
My Aunt Jasmine did her best to try and help me. I would move around within my extended family. I'd live with my Aunt Jasmine or Uncle Ben. Sometimes I would stay with Grandpa too. Anything to help me stay away from my family. I was gone for a year from my family's home, and I started to get good grades. I didn't have sleepless nights anymore, and my stomach was full. It was such simple things, but it meant everything to me. I started working around that time too. Try to avoid my family spotting me and forcing me to go back home so I could be their punching bag. I was staying with Grandpa at the time. I was doing a shift at McDonald's one night, and when I got to my grandpa's house, the police and ambulance were there. I was confused and scared. I was afraid something happened to my grandpa. I remember running in before being forced back. I looked at the police with tears in my eyes before they asked my name. I told them I was Arthur. You are under arrest. I was slammed against the police car, and I don't remember what happened next. I couldn't hear the police anymore, or the sirens. I didn't even know my aunt was there. I was in shock, and I was so scared for what happened to my grandfather and what was going to happen to me. Since I was underage, my parents were called. Lucky for me, my Aunt Jasmine and Uncle Ben were there too. My parents had put on a show for the cops.
How could you kill your grandfather?
You're going to think about what you did. You ruined us and your brother. Grandpa is dead? What happened to Grandpa?
Don't try to play innocent now. You left a note admitting your crimes and we're lucky you came back.
I was at work. There's video that proves otherwise.
You mean a video of Bruce that proves otherwise? What are you talking about? Bruce was at work, like a good boy.
That boy has never worked a day in his life. Arthur wrote the note.
That's not his handwriting, but it sure is Bruce. Where is he?
My parents went quiet. What I didn't know was that my aunt and Uncle Ben had been updating the police about the abuse I faced with my parents. However, with Child Protective Services never finding any fault since I could never confess, they would drop the case. My aunt and uncle didn't. It seemed my grandfather had an inkling that something would happen when Bruce came over, so he started to record. I couldn't believe my brother would go over to his house to demand money from him. Not only demand it, but kill our grandfather too. I'm not giving you a dime, Bruce. You can forget about it. You have your parents to spoil you rotten. 5, stop being stubborn. I just need a few thousand. You give it to that dumbass all the time. I'm the better kid. You're a disrespectful, rude, and greedy boy. You haven't once done anything to show me otherwise. I don't have to be nice, old man. I'm the better brother. Give me the money or I'll... My brother pulled out his pocket knife, a gift from our parents that he got for his 16th birthday. Put it away, boy. I won't let you waste another penny on that loser. I'm better than him. Give me the money. I'm not giving you a dite. Bruce had stabbed him. Not once either. There was so much anger in his eyes before fear and regret took him over. It was muffled over the video, but we could hear Bruce calling someone. He killed our grandfather. There was no doubt about it now. My aunt found our grandfather and called the cops. She had already told them I was at work, and there was no way I could have, despite the forged note. The cops still needed proof I wasn't the killer. Her word wasn't enough. They also needed to buy some time to gather evidence that I wasn't. But my parents had slipped up. The police never told my parents that my grandfather was dead or murdered. They had only called them down to the station. We need to take you two for further questioning.
For what?
That will be explained further in the interrogation room. What? We want a lawyer. We don't have to speak to you without one. They were taken into custody. Their phones were seized, and wouldn't you know it, the police discovered in my parents' phone my brother had called them at the same time my grandpa was left alone after being stabbed. My brother was panicking. Dad, I wasn't thinking, I don't know what to do. What's wrong, son? Grandpa, I stabbed him. What if the police find me? You stabbed Grandpa?
Just meet us at the old gas station. We'll get rid of the knife and blame it on your brother. No one will believe him anyway. Write a letter saying Arthur did it.
They were arrested immediately after the phone call was discovered. When they found my brother, he was trying to outrun the cops. My parents had given him their car, and he was driving with blood still staining his clothes. The police chased him down the freeway, swerving between cars, before my brother lost control at a sudden turn. He crashed into the railing and was dragged out of the vehicle by the police. The security camera across the street from the abandoned gas station caught sight of my parents meeting with Bruce and throwing the knife into the dumpster. Their fingerprints were analyzed and confirmed to belong to Bruce and Gracie. To this day, they are adamant that I killed our grandfather, and they're all innocent. I don't care, though. I have two people who love me, and a grandfather who left everything to me. He gave me his house, his beach house, $400 million, and my favorite thing in the world, the keys to his Cadillac. He always cared for me, and I knew he would, even after passing. I just wish he were still with us. I'd do anything to have him back in my life again. Thanks for watching.
I was among the first cops to be at the crime scene, and I arrested the gang, and I was the head detective in the case.
Please, help us. We heard you were at the robbery scene. Tell them he was forced, please. Think of something. Cops are liars. Help us, Vanessa, please.
The memories of all the sufferings I endured, his betrayal to my mom, and how he hurt us both, flowed in. I held back tears and promised to help them. They left happily after thanking me. However, I had no plans to. I only raised their hopes to make them feel as hurt as my mom and I felt. On the day of the trial, I saw their hopeful gaze when I walked to the judge. Here are the evidence for the culprit. We also discovered him to be the ringleader in the robbery. There's also evidence and witnesses to confirm that he's committed other crimes, which includes kidnapping, sexual assault, physical abuse, and murder. Hi there. My name's Vanessa Hugh, and I'm currently 26 years old. I serve in the police as a detective. About 6 years ago, I was kicked out of my father's house by him and his new family. My parents were my idols. They both attended the same high school but were enemies then. My mom was the prettiest girl in the class, and my dad was the most handsome. Now, you must be wondering why they weren't close. I did too. Well, they were also the most intelligent and obsessed with topping the class. They hated each other because they were both making it hard for themselves. They didn't have a proper conversation even after graduation. However, as fate would have it, they met again after college. Then, my dad had just started his company, and my mom was a marketer. She was in search of a job and happened to hear about my dad's company. According to them, they were both embarrassed when they met each other and burst into laughter. Knowing how intelligent my mom was, my dad employed her. They both slowly became closer until they finally caught feelings for each other, and their life story began from there. They were quite intentional, honestly. Once my dad's company began flourishing properly, he proposed to her. They got married 3 months later. I was told that it took them quite a long time before they had me. My mom had countless miscarriages before I finally came, and that was 5 years after their wedding. One day, when I was 13, my dad asked to take me with him on a business trip. My mom happily agreed. To her, he was going to start putting me through the family business. But the reverse was the case. I was taken to a beautiful mansion in a different country, and was met by a strange woman and a young boy. I asked my father who the strangers were. I'd expected to see men in suits discussing business, not a woman who hugged my dad the same way my mom did.
This is Veronica. I want you to see her like a second mother. And this is her son, Vincent. See him like your elder brother.
I'd have thought the woman was his sister and the boy her son, but he added that I should never mention it to my mom. Throughout the 3 days I was there, the woman was all over my dad like he's her husband. I was confused. Even her son called him dad. At the time, I could tell he was 18 or more than. When the third day finally came, I was so relieved that I'll be going back home. I had gone into my room to take a novel I forgot. When I walked back to the living room, I saw my dad kissing the woman. Before they could notice me, I went back into the room and only left much later. I was heartbroken and confused. When we returned home, my mom happily hugged him and kissed him on the same lips he kissed the other woman with. I was so angry that I left for my room and asked no one to disturb me, using a headache as cover-up. Later that day, my mom came in. I hugged her and burst into tears. She was worried, but she didn't say a word until I stopped crying. Dad's cheating on you, Mom. He didn't take me on a business trip. We went to a woman's house and she has a son. He kissed her on the lips before we left, Mom. My mom smiled, but I could see the sadness in her eyes.
I'm aware, baby. I don't want you to hate him, okay? He loves you. And us. Having a second woman and son doesn't mean he loves us any less.
I couldn't believe her. She sounded like she knew about it a long time ago. I tried to talk to her, but she hushed me and gently warned me against discussing it any further. I accepted, but my dislike for my father began growing from then. Life continued like nothing happened, but I never forgot about it. Years later, when I was 18, my mom suddenly collapsed while we were having breakfast. She was quickly rushed to the hospital, where she was diagnosed with terminal cancer. We were devastated, mostly me. However, my mom managed to keep a smile on.
I won't die, sweetie. I'm gonna fight it, okay? Stop crying now, baby.
How can you fight terminal cancer, honey? You're going to die. Don't lie to the girl.
I was horrified. How could he say that? Was he so stupid? It seemed as though my mom knew I was close to exploding, so she gave my hand a gentle squeeze before facing my dad.
You shouldn't be so negative, darling. Nessa's here. We should comfort her and not say things that would scare her.
Her voice sounded so weak. I felt pity for my mom, seeing her in such a poor condition. She stayed in the hospital longer than I thought, and I was filled with worry each day. I couldn't go home daily, and I only managed to attend classes regularly. One day, I returned home to meet the woman and her son from years ago, sitting in the living room. I was filled with rage. "What are you both doing here?" The woman eyed me without responding. Her son, who'd already become a grown man, responded instead.
We have come to take over what rightfully belonged to us.
It was then that it was confirmed that he's my stepbrother, born by the woman who my dad had an affair with before my mom gave birth to me. Tears filled my eyes. Before I could respond, my dad walked in with a smirk that showed he's been listening to us.
You heard them. They're my first family, and as you might have known already, I value them more than you and your sick mother. I have always wanted just a boy. I'm getting a divorce from her, as I'd like to focus on only my real family. I'll be requesting a DNA test. Hopefully you're not my child. I'll need to have both of you get rid of.
I couldn't believe my ears. It felt like I'd die that moment. The betrayal, the hurt, all mixed together. I wondered how my mom would feel if she heard about his plan to divorce her for his mistress and son. It was so overwhelming. I nearly fainted. I grabbed my bag and hurried to the hospital. I wanted to tell my mom and prepare her, but she was asleep, and I couldn't wake her up. I sat by her bedside, determined to wait until she woke up. While waiting, I slept off. It was about an hour later before I finally woke up to the sound of people coming in. My heart missed a beat as my dad and his new family walked in. My mom's smile never left her face. He flung the document to her and ordered her to sign it. Tears rolled down my eyes as she did, with her smile still on. She passed it to him afterward. Then, he told her about the DNA test. Only then did she speak.
Nessa is your child and you know that. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sure you'll be disappointed.
Her smile never left her face. She turned to me and I saw the tears in her eyes. I quickly held her hands, crying too.
I love you, honey. I want you to grow up and make me proud, whether I'm alive or not. I want you to have a good life, okay?
I nodded, sobbing loudly. I was scared. Her words were making me scared. She faced my dad and his new family next.
You should have cheated with someone else. She was the same person who nearly poisoned me at prom and who sent assassins to me after our wedding. It shouldn't have been her, but I forgive you. I love you. I always have and always will.
As her tears dropped, she gave up the ghost. I screamed in terror. My dad and the others left me alone with her. I was crying so loudly, begging her to come back, but she never did.
She is dead. We can now go.
I was shocked by what my stepbrother said after that. My dad managed to give her a shitty funeral, which made me hate him even more. He also had the DNA test done, and it came out positive. Life began with me living with them. I was severely maltreated. For 3 years, I lived like a slave. I was made to cook, clean, and even mow the lawn always. One morning, my dad walked into my room.
Pack your things and leave my house. My wife told me you started stealing, and you stole her necklace. I didn't raise a thief. Just pack your things and disappear before I return this evening. I don't want to see you when I get back.
Eventually, after getting satisfied with seeing me suffer, I was thrown out of the house and disowned by my father, simply because my stepmom claimed I stole her necklace and my father believed her. I didn't let that bring me down. I slept in the streets without shame, searching for jobs anywhere. I worked 3 part-time jobs and managed to save to get a house. I changed my name and started my life at fresh. I went to a police academy after college, and last year, I started working as a cop. Due to my smartness and diligence, I quickly got promoted to the post of a detective. A few months later, my dad and his mistress were in front of me, her on her knees and my dad in heavy tears begging for my help. Apparently, their son had been so spoiled that he turned to crime. He had put them in so much trouble. Not only did he gamble with his parents' home, rendering them homeless, he also stole the company's money and also got involved in a serious robbery case that landed him in the station where I work. The investors at my dad's company are on his neck, as well as his workers. 60% already quit, and the rest were threatening to sue him if he didn't pay up. Their main problem, however, was to ensure their son didn't go to jail. I was among the first cops to be at the crime scene, and I arrested the gang, and I was the head detective in the case.
Please, help us. We heard you were at the robbery scene. Tell them he was forced, please. Think of something. Cops are liars. Help us, Vanessa, please.
The memories of all the sufferings I endured, his betrayal to my mom, and how he hurt us both, flowed in. I held back tears and promised to help them. They left happily after thanking me. However, I had no plans to. I only raised their hopes to make them feel as hurt as my mom and I felt. On the day of the trial, I saw their hopeful gaze when I walked to the judge. Here are the evidence for the culprit. We also discovered him to be the ringleader in the robbery. There's also evidence and witnesses to confirm that he's committed other crimes, which includes kidnapping, sexual assault, physical abuse, and murder. I saw their shocked faces when I said that. I presented the video I'd recorded when I caught him among the robbers. I also presented document of his other crimes. The judge allowed the witnesses to come in, and they testified to his crimes. I'd done so much investigation with the help of my colleagues, and I couldn't be more grateful to them. My stepbrother had hurt and killed a lot of people and committed so many other crimes. Because of that, the judge sentenced him to death by hanging, while the other members were sent to serve 20 years each. My stepmother immediately collapsed after the verdict. My dad stared at me, and I could see the pure pain in his eyes. His tears made me even happier. While their son got taken away, my dad's mistress was taken to the hospital where they discovered she'd gotten a full-body paralysis. On the day their son was to be hanged, I was allowed to follow. I took a video of the whole process and sent it to my dad afterward. The next day, I heard he'd a painful seizure. I felt relieved afterward. I'd taken my revenge on them all, and I was sure my mom would be happy too. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.
Hillary called Martin over during the morning shift, her voice loud enough for the whole floor to hear.
I think I know who's been stealing.
The room went silent. Nobody could believe that she had had the audacity to blame my father, someone who had been working at the factory nearly all his life. That's a lie. Come on, Martin. You're not really going to believe this dishonest idiot, are you? Hillary shrugged, all innocence. She clearly felt like she had the upper hand.
I saw him near the storage racks last week. He was acting suspicious.
Henry, we're going to have to check your car. Fine, I've got nothing to hide. Go ahead and check my car. But when they opened the trunk of Dad's car, there they were. 3 boxes of Milltown Gold bars. Some of the more expensive candy that we produced. Dad's face turned pale. This is a setup. It has to be. I didn't put those there. I'm sorry, Henry, but this is clear evidence that you stole them. You're making a mistake. But it didn't matter. He was fired on the spot, and Hillary looked incredibly smug and pleased with herself. Hi there, my name is Trent, and for many years, I've worked alongside my father, Henry, at Milltown Candy. It's a small factory and is family run. It's the kind of place where everything smells like chocolate, and you leave work feeling sticky no matter how clean you are. My dad's been here for 25 years, and I've been here for 10. Together, we've seen the factory through its ups and downs. We've seen a lot of employees come and go over the years, some of them good and some bad, but nothing could have prepared us for Hillary. She started 6 months ago, all smiles and overconfidence. Martin, the manager, introduced her as a quality control specialist with years of experience. She had that kind of charm that could fool anyone. Well, almost anyone. Both my father and I saw right through her nonsense, right from the start. It was clear that she had no idea what she was doing and had probably lied on her resume. During her first shift, my father kept shaking his head when he watched her work.
That one looks like she's going to be trouble. Just look how she pretends to be working while doing nothing at all.
Trouble? Or just lazy?
My money is on both.
We found out soon enough. Hillary's laziness was the kind that made everyone else work harder. She'd spend most of her shift texting or gossiping in the break room, leaving her station unattended. If the tempering machine jammed on her watch, she'd call someone else over to fix it. To be honest, neither my father nor I could figure out how Martin didn't notice that she basically made other people do her work for her. But somehow, he didn't. Or perhaps they were having an affair, because Martin often dropped Hillary off after work. Who knows what really happened?
Hey, Trent, can you help me out?
Sure. What's the problem?
The machine's not running right. It seems like it's jammed. Can you clean it and make it work correctly?
That's your station, Hillary. It's your job as the quality control specialist to clean out the machines so they run right.
Yes, but I just got a manicure. I don't want to risk damaging my nails. Can you please do it for me? I don't want to do it myself right now.
Dad watched from across the floor, shaking his head. It was clear that no one in the factory other than Martin liked her or appreciated how she dumped her work on others. But my father was the only one that didn't hide his true feelings about her. Everyone else just put on a fake smile and trusted that she would eventually get fired, but not my old man. He just stared daggers at her and shook his head when he saw her.
You've got to stop letting her push her work on you. It's not fair to you or other people for that matter.
What am I supposed to do? She's got Martin wrapped around her finger.
Just watch your back. People like her only cause trouble, and you don't want to be around when she does.
And boy did she cause trouble. It started small. First, it was people's lunches disappearing from the break room fridge. People would bring in food and drop it off in the communal fridge, only to find that someone had helped themselves to their food during the day. Then someone's wallet went missing. A week later, Sarah, someone that had worked at the factory as long as I had, found her locker broken into, her work boots gone. The whispers started, and they all pointed to Hillary. One of the worst things she ever did was when she broke one of the machines and caused a huge spill on the floor. A worker that hadn't been paying attention slipped on the spill and broke their arm. Hillary, in her typical fashion, found a way to blame the machine breaking down on the guy that broke his arm, and sadly Martin believed her. Then the candy bars started disappearing. Not just a few, but dozens of boxes of them. Martin called an emergency meeting one morning, waving an inventory report like it was a smoking gun.
We're missing boxes of candy every month. This has to stop. Whoever is doing this is stealing thousands of dollars worth of merchandise, and the company will not put up with it.
I glanced at Hillary. She was scrolling through her phone, barely paying attention. Dad caught my eye and gave me a knowing look.
You know who's behind this.
Of course. It's obvious to everyone but Martin.
Well, let's just hope he figures it out before it's too late.
But the next day, everything changed. Hillary called Martin over during the morning shift, her voice loud enough for the whole floor to hear.
I think I know who's been stealing.
The room went silent. Nobody could believe that she had had the audacity to blame my father, someone who had been working at the factory nearly all his life.
That's a lie. Come on, Martin. You're not really going to believe this dishonest idiot, are you?
Hillary shrugged, all innocence. She clearly felt like she had the upper hand.
I saw him near the storage racks last week. He was acting suspicious.
Henry, we're going to have to check your car. Fine, I've got nothing to hide. Go ahead and check my car.
But when they opened the trunk of Dad's car, there they were. 3 boxes of Milltown Gold bars. Some of the more expensive candy that we produced. Dad's face turned pale.
This is a setup. It has to be. I didn't put those there. I'm sorry, Henry, but this is clear evidence that you stole them. You're making a mistake.
But it didn't matter. He was fired on the spot, and Hillary looked incredibly smug and pleased with herself. Later that day, I went to clean out Dad's locker. It made me sick to my stomach to do it. but I knew that he wouldn't be allowed back on the property, and there were things in his locker that he would want. I was, however, not the least bit surprised to find that the lock was broken. The metal bent, as if someone had forced it open. That's when it clicked. She must have grabbed his keys and put the boxes of candy in his car while we were working. There was no other explanation for it. But proving it was another matter. Dad told me to let it go, but I couldn't. I'd see Hillary smirking across the floor, acting like she'd gotten away with it, and my blood would boil. Months passed, and the thefts stopped. Hillary seemed untouchable, strutting around the factory like she owned the place. Then, one day, Sarah came up to me in the break room.
We're missing boxes again. I counted how many we filled with candy, and then I counted how many were loaded onto the trucks going on, and there are a lot missing.
Is that so?
Oh yeah, I'm certain of it.
It was all I needed to hear. I called my friend Mike that night. Of all my friends, Mike was the kind of guy that would do anything for me, no questions asked. I need you to do me a favor. Of course, Trent, whatever you need. Mike agreed to expose Hillary, so I gave him details about her. One day, after work, when Hillary stopped by a coffee shop, Mike made his move. First, he befriended her, and then he offered her cash for whatever merchandise she could get him at a discount, and he implied that he had a lot of money at his disposal, so the more she could get him, the better. She took the bait without hesitation, and over the next week and a half, not only were a few boxes of candy going missing, but several dozen at a time. The next week, I set up trail cameras around the factory, hiding them in spots where no one would notice. I waited, watching Hillary's every move. It didn't take long. Late one night, I caught her on camera, sneaking boxes into her car after her shift. The final piece came during her meeting with Mike. I made sure that he was wearing a microphone and a hidden camera as well. This is amazing. I really appreciate you getting me all this candy for such a low price.
You sure do buy a lot.
Yeah, I own some stores. How long have you been doing this? I mean, it's clear that you're stealing it right, which doesn't bother me. I'm just curious.
Since I started, the people at this company are so stupid. The amount of stuff I get away with is crazy, and the manager, Martin, that guy is a joke.
The next morning, I walked into Martin's office with my laptop. You need to see this. I showed him the footage, both from the trail cameras I had set up as well as the one from the meetup with Mike. His face turned bright red. I have to let you go. This is bad. It's worse for my dad. You owe him an apology. Martin called another emergency meeting, his tone serious. Really bad. Hillary, we've reviewed the evidence. You're fired, and the police are on their way. It was wonderful. At least it was until Hillary lost it. Her controlled and well-toned demeanor flipped, and she went crazy.
You can't fire me. You have no proof I've done anything wrong.
Yes, we do have proof. When Martin showed her the videos, she became furious. She grabbed a baseball bat and lunged at him, hitting him badly before turning and knocking over a stack of boxes and smashing a conveyor belt in the process. Several workers tried to hold her back, but she broke free, throwing punches and screaming obscenities. By the time the police arrived, 3 people were injured, and 2 machines were damaged beyond repair. It took 3 officers to wrestle her to the ground and tase her. The fallout was swift. Hillary was arrested, charged with theft, assault, and property damage. During the investigation, it came out that she had indeed been stealing since the day she was hired. Her bank records showed that she had deposited large sums of money and couldn't account where it had come from. During her interrogation, she confessed that she would steal whatever would fit in her trunk, and she would sell the merchandise to people with convenience stores, or she would go to sports events and sell to people that were tailgating. Martin called Dad personally to apologize. He begged him to come back to work and promised that he would never again take him for granted. Unsurprisingly, my father accepted the apology and graciously accepted the offer to return to work. Dad was rehired with a raise, and since I helped to catch the real thief, I was given one too. Martin even promoted Dad to oversee hiring with a clear directive. Make sure no one like Hillary ever gets hired again. A week later, Dad and I sat at the kitchen table, laughing as we sealed an envelope addressed to Hillary. Inside were 2 empty candy bar wrappers and a note. Hope you're enjoying prison. Hillary ended up serving 6 years, and life at Milltown Candy went back to normal. Dad and I still joke about it sometimes, but we both agree. No candy bar is worth the trouble Hillary caused, Thanks for watching, guys. But to lose one of my brothers on top of that was almost too much to bear. I was filled with sadness until I noticed something odd. At the funeral, Marcus seemed almost happy. It was so incredibly unsettling, and it made my blood boil. Marcus, you ghoul! Why are you smiling at a time like this?
Well, I guess this means Grandpa's fortune will be split 2 ways now. It's what Tom would have wanted.
I had no words. All I could do was bite my tongue and do my best not to cause a scene. His callousness made my stomach churn. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. A few days later, I visited Marcus's house to confront him. That's when I saw it. His car parked in the driveway. The front bumper was badly damaged, and it was the same brand of car the police had seen in the security footage. My heart raced as I snapped photos. I took the evidence to the police. My name is Reggie Mack, and my life has always been defined by my family. I have 2 brothers, Tom and Marcus. Tom's my rock, my confidant, the kind of brother who would do anything for you and expect nothing in return. Marcus, on the other hand, is complicated. If Tom is the heart of our family, Marcus is the thorn that digs into it. Tom and I always got along well, even as kids. We'd spend our summers building forts in the woods, riding bikes, and staying up late talking about our dreams. Marcus, though, always seemed to feel like the world owed him something. I remember one Christmas when we were kids. Dad had worked overtime for weeks to afford us some nice gifts. I got a Lego set, Tom got a remote control car, and Marcus got the exact gaming console he'd been begging for all year. But instead of being grateful, he sulked.
This isn't the deluxe version. I told you I wanted the deluxe version. Marcus, we couldn't afford it. Be thankful for what you got. Thankful? For this? You don't care about me at all.
Marcus, what's the big deal? You got what you wanted.
You moron, you just don't understand. This version of it is garbage. None of the kids at school will be impressed unless I get the deluxe version. Do you think I want to be seen as a loser like you and Tom?
That was Marcus in a nutshell. Selfish, entitled, and impossible to please. Over the years, his behavior didn't improve. I remember another incident when we were teenagers. Grandpa gave us each a small allowance for helping out on his farm. Tom saved his share, I used mine to buy new sneakers, and Marcus spent his almost immediately on snacks and video games. A week later, he came to me.
Reggie, can I borrow some money? I'll pay you back next week.
You already spent your allowance? That was supposed to last the whole month.
Yeah, well, I had things I needed to buy. Come on, don't be a jerk, you've got plenty left. Just help me out.
Sorry, Marcus. You should have budgeted better. I have plans for the rest of the money.
You're such a selfish prick. I hope you break your leg while running around wearing those new sneakers you bought. By the way, they make you look stupid. I mean, they aren't even a popular brand.
It wasn't just about money. Marcus always demanded more attention, more recognition, more everything. Tom and I learned early on to temper our expectations when it came to him. Then there was the time Tom got accepted into his dream college. We threw him a surprise party to celebrate, and everyone was so proud. Well, everyone except Marcus.
Oh, great. Another Tom is amazing moment. When is it my turn to be celebrated?
Marcus, this is Tom's achievement. Be happy for him. When you get accepted to college, we'll have a party for you as well.
Why should I? It's not like he's even going to a good school. Besides, he'll probably flunk out because he is such an idiot. I can't imagine why they even accepted someone as stupid as him.
Marcus, how can you speak about your brother that way?
He stormed off, leaving everyone feeling awkward. That's just who Marcus was. A black hole of resentment, sucking the joy out of every room he entered. Sadly, he has always been that way. Even when we grew up and moved out, he still stayed the same. Nothing ever could make him act normal. It was Marcus's world, and we all just had the privilege of living in it. At any rate, time sped on by, and one day we got some terrible news. Our grandfather announced to the family that he had been diagnosed with cancer. He'd always been the cornerstone of our family, a self-made man who worked hard to give his children and grandchildren opportunities. He worked so hard, in fact, that he had amassed quite a large fortune. He took the money that he earned from his farm and invested it every year, and he had made himself quite wealthy as a result. When he called us to his bedside, we knew it was serious.
I don't have much time left, boys. When I go, Everything I've worked for will be split equally among you three. I've already spoken to your parents, and they agree that it is the best choice since they're doing well enough on their own. I trust you'll honor my legacy and look out for each other.
Of course, Grandpa. Thank you for trusting us.
We won't let you down.
Well, about that, I've been thinking. Since I've had a harder time than these two, maybe I should get a bigger share. Marcus, I've made my decision. My wealth will be split evenly. It's final.
The look on Marcus's face was pure indignation. Both Tom and I could tell that Marcus was not thrilled that he would have to share the inheritance at all. Over the next few weeks, he started planting seeds of discontent.
Reggie, you don't even need the money. You've got a good job. Why not let me take a bigger share?
Because Grandpa wanted it split equally. That's what he wanted. Besides, I could really use the money.
You're so selfish, Reggie. I've always known it.
Selfish how? For crying out loud, Marcus, why can't you ever be satisfied with anything?
Because unlike you, I'm not a loser. I deserve it more than either you or Tom.
He started harassing Tom too, calling him daily to demand that he give up part of his inheritance. Tom, however, wasn't as kind as I was, and he told him off more than once.
Come on, Tom, be reasonable. You don't even have kids. What do you need all that money for?
Marcus, it's not about need. It's about honoring Grandpa's wishes. And if you don't like it, then you can take a long walk off a short pier.
You'll regret this, Tom.
Then, the unthinkable happened. One rainy evening, I got a call from the police. They told me that there had been a terrible accident and that I needed to come over right away.
Mr. Mack, I'm sorry to inform you that your brother Tom was killed in a hit-and-run accident.
You can't be serious. Do you have any suspects?
At the moment, no, but we are investigating some leads, I promise you.
Grief consumed me. Tom was the glue that held our family together, and now he was gone. It was bad enough that our grandfather was ill and would likely die soon, but to lose one of my brothers on top of that was almost too much to bear. I was filled with sadness until I noticed something odd. At the funeral, Marcus seemed almost happy. It was so incredibly unsettling, and it made my blood boil. Marcus, you ghoul! Why are you smiling at a time like this?
Well, I guess this means Grandpa's fortune will be split 2 ways now. It's what Tom would have wanted.
I had no words. All I could do was bite my tongue and do my best not to cause a scene. His callousness made my stomach churn. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. A few days later, I visited Marcus's house to confront him. That's when I saw it. His car parked in the driveway. The front bumper was badly damaged, and it was the same brand of car the police had seen in the security footage. My heart raced as I snapped photos. I took the evidence to the police. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think my brother was involved in the hit and run that killed my other brother Tom.
We'll investigate this. Thank you for coming forward. To be honest, we suspected that he might have been involved. This helps our case quite a bit.
I was too upset to drive, and so I decided to walk home from the police station. While walking home that evening, I couldn't shake the unease. That's when I heard it, a car engine roaring behind me. I don't know where the urge came from, but I suddenly felt the need to jump off to the side. I dove out of the way just in time as Marcus's car swerved, smashing into a wall. Had I not jumped, though, he would have run me over and pinned me between his car and the wall. Fueled by anger, I ran over, yanked him from the wreckage, and let my fists fly. You piece of crap! You killed Tom, and now you're trying to kill me?
You have no proof.
Your car is literally pinned to a wall where I was just standing. How dumb do you think I am?
Well, you shouldn't have gone to the police.
Rage filled me as I kept punching Marcus until he was unconscious. By the time that the police arrived, I had managed to wipe the blood from my knuckles and then played dumb. I knew that they could tell that his wounds hadn't been inflicted by the accident, but they pretended that they had. I can only assume that they were just glad that it hadn't been a second hit and run, and that he had been caught.
Looks like he got banged up pretty bad in the crash.
Yeah, the crash was rough.
Yep. Good thing though, or else he might have fled the scene again.
The lead detective winked at me and smiled. It was clear that they knew what actually happened. They didn't ask any more questions though, and Marcus was arrested for attempted murder and charged with Tom's death after the evidence came through. Our grandfather was devastated when he learned the truth, but he wasn't really that surprised. No one in the family was. Not after the way that Marcus was acting at Tom's funeral.
I'm cutting Marcus out of my will entirely. He's no grandson of mine. Yes, I think that is for the best, Dad.
I can't believe he could be such a monster.
Marcus was sentenced to prison, and our family disowned him. From what I have heard, he isn't doing well in prison. His bad attitude keeps getting him in trouble with the other inmates. Judging by the letters he sends from time to time, I think he spends a lot of time in the infirmary from getting beaten up. Although he mails the family often, no one ever writes back, and no one ever goes to visit him. As far as we're concerned, he is dead to us. When Grandpa eventually passed away months later, he left everything to me. But keeping the entire fortune didn't feel right. I used a portion of the inheritance to create the Tom Mack Foundation, offering scholarships to underprivileged students. It's my way of honoring Tom and ensuring his legacy lives on. Looking back, I've learned that family isn't about blood. It's about the people who stand by you. Tom may be gone, but through the foundation, his kindness and generosity will continue to touch lives for years to come. And as for Marcus, when he gets out, he better not come looking for me, because if he does, then I'll beat him up even worse than the last time. Thanks for watching. I wasn't always afraid of going to school. There was a time when I actually liked learning, when the smell of books and pencils made me feel important. But that was before middle school, before they found me. My name's Clarence. I was the chubby kid with thick glasses, a soft voice, and hand-me-down shoes. My mom was a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to feed me. She was my world. And when cancer took her from me in 6th grade, I felt like the world cracked open. No one from my dad's side ever showed up. I never met the guy, just whispers. Some even said he was in jail or didn't want me. My mom's family, except for Grandma May, was long gone too. So Grandma took me in. She cooked, cleaned, walked me to school, took extra shifts at the VA center. She even sold some of Grandpa's medals to pay for my new glasses. "You're not going to squint your way through life," she said. She made it her mission to protect me, to heal me. I wasn't her grandson. I was her second son. But Grandma couldn't protect me from everything, especially not from Kyle Barnes and his gang of roaches. Kyle was tall, obnoxious, and always smelled like a mix of energy drinks and Axe body spray. His goons, Brent, Ty, and Logan, followed him around like flies orbiting a turd. It started with snickering, then name-calling, then violence. "Hey, Four Eyes, lose your guide dog, or is your fat face blocking your vision again? Bet he uses his stomach to block tackles in dodgeball. Yo, Clarence, when you gonna stop wearing your grandma's panties, bro? He probably sleeps in them, with his dead mommy's perfume." That one stung. They always mentioned my mom. They knew I was sensitive about it. You know his mom was a hooker, right? Probably got cancer from all that street work. I swung at him once. They laughed while I cried in the hallway. That swing cost me detention. Kyle got a warning. They once pushed me into the lake behind the school. I was walking home when they cornered me. "Yo, let's see if Tubby here floats." "Cannonball!" They shoved me in. I came out choking and shaking. They took pictures, posted it on a burner Instagram account called Clarence Whale Watch. Another time I biked to school, only to find my tires slashed and a note taped to the seat. "Next time it's your neck." I reported it. The principal said, "Boys will be boys." Even the teachers laughed when Kyle mocked me, especially Ms. Hannity, Kyle's mom's best friend. I told her multiple times what they did. Once I even cried in her class. Please. They call my mom names. They pushed me into the lake.
If you stopped acting like a victim, Clarence, maybe they wouldn't treat you like one.
That night, Grandma found me curled up in my bed, soaking the pillow. She sat down next to me and gently lifted my glasses.
Who did it?
Nobody.
Don't lie to a woman who used to extract confessions from men 3 times your size.
I broke. I gave them. Every single one.
You're not broken, you're not weak, but I need names, Clarence. I want the truth.
Grandma May wasn't like other grandmas. No knitting, no bingo. She was all sharp eyes, square jaw, and had a weird obsession with sharpening knives. I lived her only after my grandfather passed, and she spent most days watching old military documentaries or cleaning her tactical gear like she was preparing for war. I didn't know much about her past, only that she had once been deep in the service, whatever that meant. She walked with a limp, but even limping, she moved faster than most people ran. I told her everything, from the taunts to the beatings. She didn't say a word, just listened. Then she stood, adjusted her old army jacket, and said,
All right, time for some recon.
The first incident happened 2 nights later. Kyle found a photo in his locker. It was him asleep, in his bed, taken from inside the room. There was a note attached. I was closer than you think. Sleep tight, Prince. He freaked out, screamed so loud the janitor called the school nurse. No sign of forced entry, no fingerprints. No one believed him, except me. Grandma polished her old boots that night while whistling a tune I didn't know. That night, Grandma came into my room with a duffel bag and laid out strange items, like she was preparing for a heist. Night vision goggles, gloves, a toolkit that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. Grandma, what are you doing?
Teaching manners, sweetheart. You just focus on passing math.
Next was Brent. He went to grab his gym bag from the locker room and found it drenched in fake blood and filled with animal bones. There was a note in red ink that read, "This is your future if you touch Clarence again. Grandma's watching." He fainted, literally. They had to wheel him out on a stretcher.
I picked up a few props from the Halloween outlet. War teaches you creativity.
Logan's payback was different. He had a snake phobia. Grandma knew. I used to tell her how he'd freak at even the mention of reptiles. One afternoon, Logan opened his locker and found a snake, programmed to lunge when the locker opened. It hissed and snapped forward. He peed himself in front of everyone. A note inside the locker read, "Cold blood for cold hearts. From the jungle, with love." He transferred the next month, claimed he couldn't breathe in the school anymore. But Grandma wasn't done. Not yet. One evening, she asked casually over dinner,
That teacher, Miss Hannity, you said she laughed when you cried?
"Yeah, she's Kyle's mom's best friend. She even shared one of those memes they made of me once."
I see.
A week later, Ms. Hannity's car alarm kept going off all night. When she checked her windshield, someone had broken all her car glass and left a note in red. "You laughed when he drowned. You'll cry when you burn." No fingerprints. She took an early retirement. And then, the night Kyle broke. I was walking home late from tutoring when he appeared from behind a hedge. He was pale, shaking. "Please, please, Clarence, I can't sleep. I keep seeing her. She's everywhere. I don't even know how she got into my room." "Who?" "Your grandma. She tied me up in a barn. She didn't hurt me, but she told me things, showed me scars. Said she once made a man confess by locking him in a box with rats for a week." "Kyle, are you okay?" "No, I'm done, man. I'm out. I'll never mess with you again. Just make her stop, please." He sprinted off. I got home. Grandma was sipping tea on the porch. "Did you really do that?"
Some lessons stay with you longer than bruises.
Years passed. Kyle left town. Brent moved to Michigan. Ty dropped out and started working at a vape shop. Logan became a yoga instructor and never spoke above a whisper again. Ms. Hannity? No one's heard from her since she moved to Florida. But my life, it got better. People respected me. I made friends, got a job, went to college. Grandma passed in her sleep, peacefully. I was devastated. After her funeral, I found a key taped behind a painting in her room. It led to a safety deposit box downtown. Inside, a flash drive and a note. "For Clarence, in case they ever come back. Never let kindness make you weak. Love, Grandma the Ghost." I opened the flash drive. It contained photos, footage, surveillance notes on everyone who had ever hurt me. At the reading of her will, I was the only name on the document. She left everything to me. House, savings, even her medals. And one last note. "Clarence, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. You survived more than most men ever will. Never forget your worth." I took care of the monsters. But know this, you're never alone. Someone is watching. Someone is protecting you. So smile and never be afraid again. Love always, Grandma the Ghost. Sometimes I still hear footsteps on the porch at night, or find an old army coin in my jacket pocket, though I never put it there. But I don't ask questions. I just smile, because I know someone's still watching. It's been years since Grandma passed. People think grief fades with time, maybe for some, but not when your protector was a woman like her. Not when the quiet in your house still feels like she's walking through the hallways, just outside your door. She left me everything, the house, her journals, a thumb drive filled with her lessons, and a handwritten letter telling me I'd never be alone. "Someone is always watching," she wrote. At first I thought it was just her being poetic, dramatic. Grandma always had a flair for the cryptic. But then, the rumors started. I don't know who started them, but they reached me like whispers in the wind. Kyle, now living off-grid somewhere in Oregon, supposedly hasn't slept a full night in 2 years. He's terrified of mail, refuses to open packages unless they're from his church. People say he once found a photo of himself walking his dog, taken the day before, with the words, "She may be gone, but we're not." He moved again a week later. New name, new town, doesn't matter. Ty, the one who used to spit on my locker, received a USB drive in the mail. Plugged it in, and it just played static. Then a distorted recording of a woman's voice. He swears it was Grandma's. Clarence isn't alone, and you never were. He quit his job the next morning, disconnected all social media. One of his co-workers said he had a breakdown in the staff room, kept screaming, "She's still out there." Brent, now a personal trainer with a shiny Instagram smile, found one of his childhood toys on his doorstep, burned, melted, deformed. Inside was a note, typed, laminated. "Pain comes in echoes. You haven't heard the last one." And Logan? Well, Logan teaches yoga now. Peaceful guy. Keeps his mouth shut. Doesn't speak about high school at all. But he always checks under his car before starting it. Always. I never sent those letters. I never reached out. But someone did. Maybe it was Grandma. Maybe someone she trained. Maybe someone she trusted to carry on her legacy of justice. Or maybe she really is still watching. Whatever the case, they're still terrified. And I sleep just fine. And that, my friends, is how my grandma made grown bullies wet their pants. May she rest or haunt in peace. By the way, remember, treat people kindly. You never know if their grandma used to teach psychological warfare. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, or Grandma might leave a note under your pillow.
The funeral was arranged. Friends and family gathered in the quiet space, sharing memories of my father, offering condolences. I was grateful for the support. For the first time in weeks, I felt a moment of peace. However, that peace shattered when I saw him. Mr. Field stormed into the funeral home like a tornado, his face twisted in anger. The room fell silent as people turned to see who had entered.
You think you can just walk out on your job like that? This is exactly why you're a failure. You're irresponsible, unprofessional, and entitled.
Please, stop. This is my father's funeral. But he didn't care.
I don't care. You don't get to disrespect me and then play the victim. Do you think the world owes you something because your dad died? Grow up.
The priest tried to calm him down but was met with a slap from Gregory.
Just shut up and mind your damn business. I'm not here for you.
Mark, my boyfriend of 1 year, immediately intervened.
You need to leave now and stop being a nuisance. Who do you think you are, huh? You think you can tell me what to do? You're just as pathetic as she is. Get out before we make you regret showing up here.
And then, in an instant, everything turned violent. Gregory punched Mark, and my male friends immediately stepped in, all of them pouncing on Gregory. Gregory tried to fight back, but he was no match for the group. They pinned him to the ground, hitting him continuously until my uncle stepped in and pulled them away. For 2 years, working for Mr. Gregory Fields had been nothing short of a living nightmare. It didn't start that way. When I was first hired, he seemed professional, even kind. I remember the first day I met him. He seemed imposing, but with a smile that made me believe he was someone who could offer me a fresh start in a field I was eager to grow in. He welcomed me into the office with open arms, offered support, and was the picture of a caring boss. For the first few months, it felt like I was finally in the right place. But everything changed the day he asked me out. It wasn't that I was offended by the gesture. It was the way it felt, the pressure that came with it. I had only been there for a few months, and I had made it clear that I was here to work, not to date anyone, especially not someone in charge. I turned him down politely, but that was the moment I should have known better. From then on, everything shifted. At first, it was subtle. He started criticizing my work more harshly, nitpicking the smallest details. If I submitted a report on time, it wasn't thorough enough. If I went the extra mile and stayed late, it was because I wasn't capable of completing tasks efficiently. Every attempt to impress him only seemed to make things worse.
You're lucky you have this job. No one else would put up with mediocrity like this.
Those words hit harder than I expected. I wasn't perfect. Nobody is. But I knew my work was solid. Yet every day it felt like I was slowly being crushed under his gaze, his words sinking in deeper, eroding my self-confidence. I tried not to let it show. I kept my head down and pushed forward, hoping that if I worked hard enough, it would get better. But no matter how much I gave, it was never enough. The worst part was the way he made me feel small, not just in the office, but in my own skin. Every comment he made about my appearance or my personality felt like a calculated jab, designed to strip me of any sense of worth. It wasn't just professional anymore. It was personal, and it hurt more than I ever thought possible. Then, my world was thrown into chaos when my father fell ill. He had always been my rock, the one constant in my life, and to watch him slip away, bit by bit, tore me apart. I asked for time off to take care of him, just a week, but Mr. Field's response was as cold and unfeeling as ever.
Do I look like a charity? This is a business, not your personal support system.
I was stunned, too shocked to even reply. But I had no choice. I couldn't afford to lose my job, not with the medical bills piling up and my father needing constant care. So I hired a caretaker to watch over him, someone I thought I could trust. But it wasn't enough. Slowly, I began to notice signs of neglect. My father was growing weaker, his room becoming messier, his medications being given late or missed altogether. It broke my heart to realize that the one thing I could control was slipping through my fingers. And then, 3 weeks later, my father died. The guilt hit me so hard. If only I had pushed harder for time off. If only I had been there for him. The thought of hiring someone to care for him felt like a betrayal, and the shame of it gnawed at my insides every day. But I had to keep going. The world didn't stop for me, and neither did my job. I needed 2 days off to arrange his funeral, to mourn. I couldn't do it alone. When I went to Gregory again, the response was exactly what I expected.
2 days? Didn't I just give you time for something recently?
That was for a doctor's appointment. This is my father's funeral. Please, just 2 days.
No, we have deadlines. Handle your personal drama on your own time.
I was filled with anger, frustration, and loss. But I didn't argue. I couldn't. I turned away and walked out of his office. I wasn't going to beg him for the time I deserved. I would bury my father, even if it cost me my job. The funeral was arranged. Friends and family gathered in the quiet space, sharing memories of my father, offering condolences. I was grateful for the support. For the first time in weeks, I felt a moment of peace. However, that peace shattered when I saw him. Mr. Field stormed into the funeral home like a tornado, his face twisted in anger. The room fell silent as people turned to see who had entered.
You think you can just walk out on your job like that? This is exactly why you're a failure. You're irresponsible, unprofessional, and entitled.
Please, stop. This is my father's funeral. But he didn't care.
I don't care. You don't get to disrespect me and then play the victim. Do you think the world owes you something because your dad died? Grow up.
The priest tried to calm him down but was met with a slap from Gregory.
Just shut up and mind your damn business. I'm not here for you.
Mark, my boyfriend of 1 year, immediately intervened.
You need to leave now and stop being a nuisance. Who do you think you are, huh? You think you can tell me what to do? You're just as pathetic as she is. Get out before we make you regret showing up here.
And then, in an instant, everything turned violent. Gregory punched Mark, and my male friends immediately stepped in, all of them pouncing on Gregory. Gregory tried to fight back, but he was no match for the group. They pinned him to the ground, hitting him continuously until my uncle stepped in and pulled them away, dragging Gregory out of the funeral home by his collar. He left the building with a bloodied lip and a bruised ego, humiliated in front of everyone. A few days later, I returned to work, knowing exactly what awaited me. On my desk was a neatly typed termination letter, signed by Gregory himself. I didn't even need to open it to know what it said. I had expected it. Without hesitation, I left the building. The next morning, my boss was at my door.
You think you've won, don't you? You think quitting makes you the bigger person? You're nothing. Just a spoiled little girl who can't handle real life. No wonder your father left you. He was probably tired of being related to a failure.
Don't you dare bring my father into this.
Why not? He raised a failure. You're just as useless as he probably was.
I wasn't going to let Gregory keep walking all over me anymore. I refused to be the same person I had been before. No, I was done. Get out of my house now or I'll call the cops. You're trespassing on my property. I'm done with you, Gregory. Leave before I make things worse for you. His bravado was immediately gone at the mention of the police. He turned and stormed out, muttering insults under his breath as I watched him go. Once he was gone, I laughed. He thought he had won, but I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I knew I had to act quickly. Gregory had crossed a line, and I wasn't about to let him get away with it any longer. I rushed to grab my laptop and logged into the company system. I didn't waste a second, pulling up all the files I needed. Emails, messages, financial reports, everything that would expose his twisted empire. It didn't take long to dig up what I needed. He had been running shady deals with offshore accounts, falsifying records, and forcing employees into doing things they weren't comfortable with. All of it was there. Once I had everything, I didn't hesitate. I called the police. I've got evidence of fraud, abuse, and more. You need to investigate Gregory Fields and his company. The cops invited me over, and I submitted the evidence I had. It wasn't until 2 days later before the cops informed me that they'd found Gregory guilty of all crimes, and even more. They were going to arrest him that day. I immediately called a friend who was quite popular in the media scene and asked her to spread the news. They all needed to be there to capture his defeat. I saw it on the news first, the headline being, Gregory Fields arrested for fraud and unlawful labor practices. I smiled. It was happening. I sat patiently, waiting for when they'd show him leaving his company while handcuffed. Within minutes, I was smiling and watching the footage as Gregory was let out, handcuffed. The reporters shouted questions at him, but he remained silent, his pride clearly wounded. It felt so good, watching him being dragged away, his reputation shattered in front of the world. This was the moment I'd been waiting for, the moment he would finally face the consequences of everything he'd put me and so many others through. The story broke across every news channel. Social media lit up with people sharing their own experiences with Gregory Fields. The comments rolled in fast and furious. People who had been too afraid to speak up now had their voices heard. Stories flooded the internet. Employees he had harassed, customers he had scammed, small businesses he had ruined. They all came forward, sharing their encounters with the man who thought he was untouchable. By the end of the day, Gregory's name was a joke, a symbol of greed and cruelty. People posted memes, calling him everything from a fraudster to a criminal mastermind. I couldn't deny how excited seeing all of that made me feel. It was more than just a victory for me. It was for everyone he had ever hurt. It was for the silent voices who hadn't been able to stand up until now. Gregory Fields was found guilty of so many charges at the court hearing. I made sure I was there and that he saw me in the front seat. I could see how angry he was, but there was nothing he could do to me. His properties ended up getting seized, and his company was shut down. The world saw him for who he really was. He was no longer the powerful man who had tormented me. He was a disgraced criminal, and now it was my turn to rise. Later, I found out that Gregory's company was dismantled, his empire destroyed. The police investigation uncovered the full extent of his crimes, from tax evasion to forced labor. His punishment was just perfect. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and that was just the beginning of his downfall. In the meantime, I had made my decision. I was going to make sure Gregory's name was erased from the world of business. I started my own company, a fashion design brand, which was something I'd always dreamed of doing. The support I received from people online was overwhelming. My brand grew fast, and as it flourished, I found myself thinking less about Gregory. He was a chapter in my life that was now closed. But a year later, I heard something I couldn't ignore. Gregory had been transferred from his previous prison after a series of violent attacks by other inmates. Within just a few months, 3 attempts to assault him had been made after the inmates learned about how he used to bully his employees. He was eventually moved to a different prison, where he got into a fight with some inmates and was beaten so severely that he lost one eye. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment below saying, "I subscribed." And we all will do our best to reply to your comment. And so I stayed home, following my doctor's advice. Sandra's fury was immediate and unrelenting. Sandra left me 3 voicemails today.
Only 3? What did she say?
That if I don't show up by Monday, I'm fired.
Let her fire you. We'll fight it. And trust me, we'll win. That woman is insane and doesn't care about the law at all.
Sandra didn't wait until Monday. The doorbell rang early Saturday morning. Ryan and I exchanged a puzzled glance before I lumbered over to the door and opened it. There stood Sandra, red-faced and seething.
Melanie, we need to talk.
I don't think there's anything to discuss. I am staying home for the health of my child, and if you want me to keep working, then it will have to be remotely or not at all until after my leave is complete.
Oh, I disagree.
She said, pushing past me into the living room. Sandra's eyes darted around like a predator searching for prey.
If you won't come into the office, then you're fired. I'm here for company property.
Sandra started rummaging around and searching through dresser drawers and in closets. I tried to stop her, but she slapped me and pushed me aside. My name is Melanie, and I've always been someone who values balance. A steady job, a loving husband, and the dream of raising a family kept me grounded. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and sometimes the people you trust to maintain order are the ones who bring chaos. For me, that person was Sandra, my boss at Horizons Consulting. At first glance, Sandra seemed competent. She ran a tight ship, and on my first day, I admired her confidence. But it didn't take long to realize that her confidence wasn't just self-assurance. It was arrogance, laced with cruelty.
Melanie!
Yes, Sandra?
This report you submitted, did you even read it before handing it to me?
Of course. Is there something wrong?
Is there something wrong? There's always something wrong. I told you to summarize the quarterly projections, not write a dissertation. I don't have time to read through all of this.
I'm sorry, Sandra. You said to be thorough, and I felt that I should include as much information as possible.
Well, you thought wrong. Redo it and be quick about it. If it's not on my desk by the end of the day, you'll be in serious trouble.
I was barely 3 weeks into the job, but this was Sandra's style. Public humiliation, impossible standards, and a total lack of empathy. At first, I thought I could handle it. I told myself to keep my head down, do my work, and avoid her wrath. After all, this was my first real job, and I assumed that all companies were like this. It was just what you would have to deal with in the real world. Boy, was I wrong. To make matters worse, Sandra didn't respect boundaries. One day, I overheard my colleague Greg on the phone. He had taken a week off for his honeymoon, but Sandra called him while he was on his trip in a rage. She even had the call on speakerphone so that we could all hear her chew him out.
Greg, where's the Thompson file? I need it now.
I don't have it with me. I'm in Hawaii, Sandra.
Hawaii? You should have thought about that before leaving the office in chaos. Figure it out or don't bother coming back.
But how can I do that? I'm thousands of miles away.
I don't care. Your incompetence and lack of foresight is not my problem, Greg. Figure it out. Don't be such a child and act like a man, for crying out loud.
It wasn't just Greg. When Kim took a sick day, Sandra drove to her house and demanded she work remotely. Kim later told us what happened, and I have no problem believing her.
You're not dying, are you? Then stop being dramatic and log in.
Sandra, I have the flu. The fever is so bad that I can barely think straight.
I don't care. Our clients demand a high level of work. Take an ice bath and get to work.
I didn't know how Kim stayed calm. I admired her for it. But deep down, I wondered how long I'd last before Sandra set her sights on me. And then I got pregnant. Ryan, my husband, was overjoyed when I told him. We'd been trying for over a year, and seeing the excitement in his eyes made all the struggles worth it.
We're going to be parents.
I can't wait for our child to arrive and for our family to be complete. For a while, I felt unstoppable. Even Sandra couldn't dampen my spirits, at least not at first. But the pregnancy wasn't easy. By the 5th month, the exhaustion was overwhelming. Dizziness and cramps plagued me daily, and my doctor advised me to consider an early maternity leave. I dreaded bringing it up with Sandra, but my baby's health had to come first.
Maternity leave? Do you have any idea how much strain this puts on the team?
I'm willing to work remotely when I feel up to it.
No, we don't pay you to try your best from home. Either show up in person or don't show up at all.
I will try my best to keep the workflow up. Sandra, please understand. I'm pregnant and I barely have enough energy to stand up, let alone walk around an office all day long. This is important for my health and the health of my baby.
Do you honestly think I care about the brat you are carrying around? Figure it out. Drink more coffee if you need the energy. But I expect to see you here in the office working at 110%.
Ryan was furious when I told him. He had always known Sandra to be a complete jerk, but this was a new low.
She can't legally do this. You're legally entitled to your maternity leave and can start it whenever you want to.
Maybe not, but Sandra doesn't care about laws. She cares about control. And yes, I know I can start now if I want, but she'll make it difficult for me.
Well, if she does, then she can answer to me.
The choice was clear. Ryan definitely supported me, and I knew that starting my leave early was the right choice, and so I stayed home, following my doctor's advice. Sandra's fury was immediate and unrelenting. Sandra left me 3 voicemails today.
Only 3? What did she say?
That if I don't show up by Monday, I'm fired.
Let her fire you. We'll fight it. And trust me, we'll win. That woman is insane and doesn't care about the law at all.
Sandra didn't wait until Monday. The doorbell rang early Saturday morning. Ryan and I exchanged a puzzled glance before I lumbered over to the door and opened it. There stood Sandra, red-faced and seething.
Melanie, we need to talk.
I don't think there's anything to discuss. I am staying home for the health of my child, and if you want me to keep working, then it will have to be remotely or not at all until after my leave is complete.
Oh, I disagree,
she said, pushing past me into the living room. Sandra's eyes darted around like a predator searching for prey.
If you won't come into the office, then you're fired. I'm here for company property.
Sandra started rummaging around and searching through dresser drawers and in closets. I tried to stop her, but she slapped me and pushed me aside. Then Ryan, who was working in his home office, heard me shouting and rushed to meet us.
What are you doing?
She has my laptop and files. I need them, and I'm not leaving until I find them.
First of all, they're not yours. They're company issued. And second, you can't just barge into someone's home. You need to leave immediately.
Don't tell me what I can and can't do.
Ryan stood his ground, but Sandra was relentless. She lunged for my laptop on the coffee table, knocking over a lamp in the process. Ryan grabbed her wrist to stop her, easily overpowering her.
Don't you dare touch me.
I have no choice. You are damaging our belongings.
One of her flailing hands connected with Ryan's face. He staggered but managed to wrestle her away from the laptop.
That's enough.
Ryan shouted, pushing her backward. Sandra stumbled, tripping over the fallen lamp and hitting her head on the coffee table. She collapsed in a heap, groaning. The room fell silent, except for Sandra's ragged breathing. Ryan, call the police.
And an ambulance too, it would seem.
The officers arrived within minutes and took stock of the whirlwind of damage that Sandra had caused. Sandra regained consciousness just as the officers arrived and began ranting about theft and insubordination.
They stole company property. I was just retrieving it.
Ma'am, you entered their home without permission, caused property damage, and assaulted this woman and man. You're the villain here. Now cooperate or we will be forced to subdue you.
Of course, Sandra resisted them, and the officers were forced to use their batons on her in an attempt to calm her. Watching Sandra get escorted out in cuffs felt surreal. For years, she had been untouchable, a tyrant who ruled through fear. The aftermath was both exhausting and vindicating. Colleagues came forward with stories of Sandra's abuse. Greg shared the voicemail she'd left on his honeymoon. Kim described the day Sandra barged into her home. Even the cleaning staff revealed how Sandra had berated them for missing imaginary spots on her desk. Emails surfaced, exposing Sandra's toxic leadership. The company's senior management, eager to save face, fired her within 48 hours.
We deeply regret the hostile work environment Sandra created. Effective immediately. Sandra is terminated.
Of course, that was wonderful news, but that wasn't all of it. The company didn't want to look bad in the eyes of the public, and so they set about making amends. For me, they allowed me to receive full maternity leave at full pay, not just partial, like they were legally obligated to. They also promised me a raise, a bonus, and a new office upon my return after my leave was finished. But the best news came last. Rachel, my closest friend and mentor, was promoted to Sandra's position. Over the years, Rachel had been the one person that I could rely on when things felt hopeless at work. And knowing that she would be my new boss filled me with happiness.
I promise things will be different.
Oh, I know that they will be. I know I can trust you. Under Rachel's leadership, the team thrived. Workload distribution improved, morale skyrocketed, and for the first time in years, we felt like a team. And it showed in the quality of our work. Our clients were happier than they had been in a long time, and it brought in more business for the company. As for Sandra, well, she did serve 5 years in prison for breaking into our house. And when she got out, she had a hell of a hard time finding a new job. No one wanted to hire her as everyone in town knew what kind of boss she was. Her fiancé had left her and her family cut her out of their lives. In the end, she was forced to get work as a server at a local diner. Every time I pass by the place, she is inside frowning. She looks truly miserable. And I know that she is making a lot less than what she was at Horizons Consulting. When my maternity leave ended, I returned to a transformed workplace. My new office was spacious and filled with thoughtful baby gifts from my colleagues. Thank you.
You've earned it. Plus, I have you to thank for my new job.
As I settled back into work, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we'd come. Sandra had once been the center of our universe, dictating our lives through fear. Now, she was gone, replaced by a leader who valued and respected us. Life isn't perfect, but it's a lot closer to balance now. I have a healthy baby, a supportive husband, and a workplace where I'm valued. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that no matter how dark things seem, there's always a way forward. I was thinking of going to the restaurant where Sandra works, order food from her, and cause a huge scene by claiming that she insulted me and threw water on me, so I can report her to management and get her fired. What do you think, guys?